Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
PAL just alerted me to a power failure on the West Island. It's fairly large, nearly 3,800 homes and businesses affected. This is kind of in the eastern part of Pierrefonds, west of Sources and north of Pierrefonds Boulevard. You know, that area between Pierrefonds Boulevard and Gouin. And what intrigues me is that Hydro-Quebec has it listed as protection of public safety. And usually they use that phrase when, for example, they have to shut the power down because there's a fire in the neighborhood and they're worried about the lines, or because there's a gas leak and they don't want any electricity flowing into the buildings where there might be a gas leak, that, or someone knocks a power pole down and there might be live wires, that type of thing. So in any event, what they're saying is the power should be restored in that part of the West Island by 10:45. We are talking now about separate vacations and whether they are a good idea if you are coupled up, if you have a steady partner, but you choose to, at least some of the time, vacation on your own, solo vacationing. Is it a good thing or a sign of trouble in relationships? Joining us, Dr. Tracy Dalgleish, psychologist and a couples therapist. Doctor, thanks for coming on with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Trudy.
Is it common for partners to take separate vacations? Is this something you see often?
Yes, and I'm seeing it more and more with couples today because we have this misconception that a healthy relationship means we do everything together, but actually there's a chance to build more connection when we do it separate.
How does that work out?
Absolutely. When we think about a healthy relationship, we're always balancing autonomy and interconnectedness. What that means is there's a chance to nurture your own freedom, what fills you up, because inevitably you're two different people and you have two different desires. What I love about solo travel is you being able to come back and have an intentional reunion together. And also the reality is a lot of couples have different interests, and so travel might look different for their own individual needs.
Now, when you're talking about solo travel, are you talking about one person heading off on their own and not knowing anybody, or are you talking about women's weekends where a group of women who already know each other get together and go away, or cruises? You hear a lot of people going on cruises with pals, or guys will go on golf vacations with their buddies and be away for a week or more to go golfing. Or is it strictly a solo endeavor where you are heading off with no one you know?
I think it's a both and. People are doing both options. Many people enjoy that connection with their friends and having the group travel. And then other people who might appreciate doing things completely on their own might be doing it that way.
One of the things that I always felt, the times that Kev and I have gone off to do activities on our own, is that when we come back together, we have more stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Because of the experiences we've had, and the thoughts that we have about where we were and what we did. So I see that as being able to breathe new life into what you share with your partner.
Absolutely. The way we define intimacy is really about having intimacy with yourself first. When you have those experiences, you're having new thoughts, having new feelings, exploring the world, and then you come back together. And you should always have a plan of how you're going to reconnect. You don't want to come back together and your partner's on their phone the whole time, or then they immediately leave for their own solo trip. You plan on, how do we actually do that? And there's so much richness and connection in it.
What are some of the other piece of advice for ways to manage this? Because I can see, you often hear this from the spouses of people who have to travel a lot for business, that they're away, and even when they're back, they're not present because this is work. This is, it's all about work. Their headspace is something else. What else can they do to make sure that they're keeping the home fires burning?
Mm-hmm. Clear expectations ahead of time. So if you're going on a trip, are you hoping that you will not reach out to your person at all and not give them updates? Is it that you text each other? Do you have a FaceTime every night? So have those expectation conversations ahead of time, because it just makes sure you're on the same page. There's another piece in here, making sure that you depersonalize what your partner is doing. It's not a rejection of you. If it is that person's traveling to get away from you instead of actually filling something up, we are talking about something else in the relationship. But then I think the other piece in here too is being able to then plan that connection piece when you get back. What are you going to do? Will you then have a date night? Will you have a dinner together? Will you then go on a trip to the two of you? There's always something in there that you can navigate. And of course, I often think about how finances is one of the top issues that couples struggle with. You two should agree on what's the financial impact on the entire family.
Are there any red flags in solo traveling that you think would give you pause? I understand that you're saying they can be positive for many couples. Mm-hmm. When would they not be positive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is if someone is trying to get away from your partner. If you are saying, I just can't wait to leave them and not be around them, we want to look at that in terms of the connection, because what we know is that if you are traveling solo, it can amplify a problem that's already there. But the other thing that I think of is when there is breaches of trust. So some kind of grievance that's going to happen in the partnership. So are you trusting of each other? Do you have rules around who you're talking to and who you're engaging? You would want to watch out for some of those flags.
I would think too, some locations might raise red. You know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, really? Or New Orleans at Mardi Gras, or maybe Rio, right. You know, places where you know there would be excess of one kind or another, that might raise red flags, no?
And you need to have that level of trust in your relationship. And so when you are able to say, hey, we're in this together and we're not turning outwards to anyone, because of course then we start to talk about STIs and other issues that we don't want to bring into the relationship, not just about trust and infidelity, but also about physical health. So yes, if there's a fear in there, that should be discussed, and then your partner should be able to validate and reassure you, not someone who says, you're being ridiculous, I would never do that. We want more reassurance, which sounds like, of course you fear that, of all the stories from Vegas or Orleans, you know, yes, let's make sure we are in this together.
Dr. Tracy Dalgleish, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me, Trudy. Dr.
Tracy Dalgleish, psychologist and couples therapist. After our traffic report, as reported by Debbie Marcellos, we are going to talk about the Canadian government maybe considering trade concessions. We'll speak to a chancellor's professor at Carleton University who thinks that Mark Carney is in a bit of a tough spot here, and he'll break it down. That's coming up.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macko Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Well, we were talking about this before with the panel, and then our listeners were calling and texting on whether there should be any lines in the sand that you don't want a toe over as we confront this trade dispute with the Trump administration. Interesting piece in the Globe and Mail, an opinion piece written by my next guest, Fen Osler Hampson, Chancellor's Professor at Carleton University, co-chair of the Expert Group on Canada-U.S. Relations. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
You lay it out in your opinion piece. The choices that Mark Carney is facing right now, there are two: appeasement or defiance. Background this for us. You make a historical comparison here to Chamberlain's Britain in the 1930s.
Yes, I do. And you might say, well, why Munich when 1938, when Neville Chamberlain conceded the Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia to Adolf Hitler? It's a classic case in international relations of negotiating with a bully. When you are in a weak position, there's a huge asymmetry of power, and some similarities to what we're dealing with now in terms of do we appease Donald Trump, give him what he wants, which are a list of some 10 major trade concessions. Not very clear what he's going to give us in return, or do you stand up to them and walk away? And it's the dilemma we're facing now for a second reason, namely that it's not clear that if we concede on the sorts of things that they're asking us to, which is first of all, to remove Canada's retaliatory tariffs on American autos, remove the alcohol ban. That's obviously a provincial boycott. On dairy, this is obviously important for Quebec, opening greater access to Canada's supply management. On the digital front, rolling back Canada's digital content and platform regulations. The list goes on. And do we give him that with sort of, vague promises that they might lower some of the very punitive tariffs they've put on our steel, on our aluminum, the fact that they really want to shut down the automobile manufacturing sector in Canada, reshore it back to the United States. So if we give him some of this, is he just going to come back for more? As we've seen, in the history of international relations, when you're dealing with a bully.
You make the point in your piece that as much as Chamberlain was criticized for taking the path of appeasement, at that moment, it could be argued that he did buy some time for Britain to rearm and then engage in a wider fight. Is this the path that you're recommending for Mark Carney, to make some concessions now in the hope it will pay off later?
Well, I don't think Mark Carney is going to take advice from a Carleton University professor, but I think it's fair to say, and the revisionist historians have argued that Chamberlain actually made a smart move, giving Hitler what he wanted, so that it bought some time for Britain to arm itself. Had it gone to war then, many believe it would have had probably a very unsuccessful outcome to that conflict. I think it may well be that the Prime Minister's strategy here is to give some concessions in the hope that Trump doesn't come back for more, and that will give his government time to promote a greater trade diversification in terms of the markets where we sell our goods and services, quite frankly, who we buy from as well, to encourage European, Asian investors to come to Canada. Trade tends to follow investment, and there's a big investment conference that's going to take place in Toronto in September with some major international investors who are being invited to kind of take a look at Canada, particularly in the critical minerals resource sector, where we are very competitive globally. So, this a generous interpretation of concessions is that this will buy time. But, as the article points out, there's still a big risk there, as we've seen with other countries, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Japan, Korea, when they've played nice with Trump, when they think they've gotten a trade deal, it hasn't stayed in place for very long. Trump has come back with more and hit them, as we've seen, with a whole new round of trade tariffs. So that unreliability factor, I think, does really, sort of resonate with historical examples. And let's not kid ourselves that, Donald Trump is still talking about taking over Greenland. I mean, he does have classic imperial ambitions. There is an American company, a drilling rig, that's going into Greenland without the permission of local authorities to drill for oil. And so he continues to talk about Canada as the 51st state. I mean, we can dismiss it as sort of, Trumpian buffoonery, but there's a very serious edge, I think, to what he's doing. And, he's trying to bully us around.
So I guess we're back to the age-old question. How do you deal with a bully? Ignore him and hope you don't rise. Once you don't rise to the bait, he'll change his tactic and become more reasonable. Or do you stand up to them and risk a fist fight? What if you had the ear of the Carney government? And I actually do believe that they pay attention to what's said in the public sphere. So what is the way forward that you see would be successful for Canada?
Well, I think, at the end of the day, you may have to give a little, but don't give too much. Quite frankly, if he's going to try to go for the moon in these negotiations, and is not going to make a commitment to, significantly lower the tariffs, then I think you walk away. It's as he likes to say, it's elbows up. And I think if you look certainly at Canadian public opinion, recent Angus Reid poll, there are only 7% of Canadians who want Ottawa to make major concessions to the U.S. By far and away, the majority of Canadians, want a tough approach. That may mean that we're going to have to take some pain, but the great danger, as we all know, when you're dealing with a bully, who does not see negotiation as kind of win-win, it's kind of take all, is that you give them something, they're just going to come back and ask for more. So my advice, for what it's worth, is not to concede very much, and to make it clear that Canada's not going to be pushed around. And I think there's enough evidence that shows that those countries that have played hardball with the Trump administration have generally tended to do better than those who've succumbed to bullying tactics.
Very, very interesting speaking with you, Fen Osler Hampson. We appreciate your time this morning.
My pleasure.
Fen Osler Hampson, Chancellor's Professor at Carleton University and co-chair of the Expert Group on Canada-U.S. Relations. I find it kind of neat to hear learned people saying, don't give away too much, and if they're asking too much, walk away. I really like that approach. It's empowering. I find that empowering to hear that, especially from co-chair of the Expert Group on Canada-U.S. Relations. When we come back after the news update, we'll take a look at that news that the Metro Green Line will be equipped only with the old Metro train starting in 2031 and the whys behind that. That's coming.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back
2010s, the decade.
to the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd.
And more. All your decade-defining favorites all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away. The Elias Macco Show. On demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, there's some commuters a little worried about this. Montreal Transit has decided that the new Azure train lines, train cars, you know, the fancy ones, they are going to be pulled off the green line so that they can serve the extended blue line. And as a result, the green line of the metro is going to be running exclusively with the older model cars, the ones that are less reliable. Well, Projet Montreal has a few things to say about that. That's coming up.
Voices you trust to deliver the news.
Here's what's making news right now.
And help you make sense of it.
What's scaring Quebecers the most?
The key message here, though, is
The station Montrealers have relied on for 80 years. Your station.
Your voice.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
La STN vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
Bus, metro, train, drive, in transit is on the Elias Macco Show, CJAD 800.
In transit, we are dealing with the metro system because there are some passengers, metro passengers, who are not very pleased about a plan to reorganize which metro cars are assigned to which lines. And it seems the Azure cars, the new ones, a lot of people really prefer them. They seem to be more spacious. They're definitely fresher feeling because, let's face it, a lot of the other cars are 50 years old. They're not quite as new and cool as the Azure cars. Well, they're all going to the new extension, the newly extended blue line. And that means the older cars are going to be concentrated on the heavily used green line of the metro. Here to explain why Projet Montreal doesn't think this is such a good idea is Sarah Doyon, Projet Montreal City Councillor for Hochelaga. Sarah, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
Your party has launched a petition against this reorganization. Why do you feel it's not a good idea to have those older cars all assigned to the green line and, as I understand it, the yellow line too?
Well, it's not against the reorganizations. It's more to make sure that the consequences of this reorganization is as minimal as possible on the transit users using the green line, because the STM doesn't really have a choice to put the new trains on the blue line once it's going to be extended, because they changed the control system and it no longer will be able to support the old train system. So we're going to get all the old trains on the green line, and that is a problem because they're much less reliable. They have less capacity, so it's going to be less good service on the green line than any other lines of the metro.
The green line is pretty busy. Why,
it is.
Why did they choose that particular one?
It's because the Honorable Grand Garage has the technology to support the old system and the old train, so that's like operational obligation.
So, in terms of reliability, how much less reliable are the older cars? Because I'm thinking what you're thinking is there are going to be a lot of breakdowns on this line.
That's what we expect. Right now, the old trains are 11 times less reliable than the new ones. So by 2040, the time that's expected that we have new trains on the Green Line, I guess this number is going to be higher. So right now, 11 times less reliable.
Until 2040?
Yes. Right now, the plan from the STM and the Montreal administration is to replace the old MR73 trains by 2040. But the problem we have is that the old trains' life expectancy is to be reached by 2036. So we have a 4-year gap that we don't really know how the trains are going to be reliable, and they're going to be the oldest one in the world.
We're going to end up like the Flintstones, having to pedal those things with our bare feet, honestly. What do you think the fix is? Is there a way around having the Green Line bear the brunt of this slow replacement of the cars?
That's what we're asking with the petition. We're asking first that we have increased frequency on the Green Line as soon as we get the old trains, so that we make up a bit for the lack of capacity of the old trains by having a better frequency. And we're asking the STM and the Montreal administration to come up with a plan to replace all MR73 by 2036, so to speed up the replacement.
That would probably mean accelerating the acquisition of Azure cars. No, how are you rating your chances on that possibility?
Well, maybe the Quebec election will help us a bit, because we need money from the the government of Quebec to be able to replace those trains, and then maybe the new government will be of help in this situation.
Yeah, that's wow. It's a real crapshoot whether or not that would actually, no matter who ends up getting elected. There's a lot of demands for transit dollars. By the way, folks, if you're wondering about the Green Line, it runs between Angrillon, that's the terminal at the the western end of it, to Honoré-Beaugrand. That's at the other end of it. The petition, is it gathering any steam? How many signatures do you have so far, Sarah?
I don't even know. Actually, we launched this petition, and since last week we've been having many interest on this matter, but I haven't checked out the number. But it's still time to sign this petition if people are worried, just like us, for the reliability of the Green Line service.
One of our listeners who comes from the Côte St. Paul Villemard district says the Green Line riders are always treated like second-class citizens or second-class users. Is that your perception, or is this strictly a technical consideration? Well, we're going to have to put them there because we need all the Azures. We need the Blue Line as extended to be fully running Azure cars.
Well, I understand the feeling. I think it's an operational obligation from the STM, but I know like the Orange Line has all the new trains and the Blue Line will get all the new trains. So I get why they feel like this. And I can say for the east of Montreal, we don't have many options in public transit. So we really need our Green Line to be reliable and have good service, because we don't have any other options in public transit. And
also, when you look at the stations that it serves, it's in the heart of downtown. Saint-Laurent, Place des Arts, McGill, Peel, Guy Concordia, Atwater. You know, these are key to so many lives in terms of getting people to work downtown, getting people to school downtown, and getting tourists around to some degree too.
Absolutely. The Green Line is very essential in Montreal for people living downtown, for tourists, for people living in the east or west. We all need the Green Line to be efficient and reliable to move around fluently in the city.
Sarah Doyon, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Sarah Doyon is the Projet Montreal City Councillor for Hochelaga District. After we break for traffic, we're going to talk about, yes, we're back to school is approaching. Did I just say a dirty word? Yeah, I know I did. But it's when a parent knows their child needs tutoring. We'll ask a tutor what the warning signs are.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macko Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Maybe you've already gone to do the back-to-school shopping already. Heaven knows the stores were ready for you last month. I remember seeing the displays go up. So we are looking ahead to the next school year on this segment of the Elias Macko Show. We're looking specifically at kids who are struggling because there may be some tips to share with parents who are wondering at what point do they call in a tutor. Sometimes it's at the first sign of trouble for some parents. Other families, well, maybe they can't afford the cost. They wait until not the last minute, but till the pressure is on. Which is the best approach? What are the warning signs? Here to answer our questions, Ben Bensimon, owner and founder of 360 Tutoring Montreal. Good morning, Ben.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well today. Tell me, in terms of struggling kids, is it the later high school years that tend to be the moments when parents are spending a lot of time scrutinizing the progress their kids are making just because this is the time when kids are supposed to be thinking about the next step after high school?
Exactly. So parents tend to start paying attention when the child is already midway through Sec 4 or sometimes even starting Sec 5. But what we always suggest is it's always best to look for the warning signs early as Sec 2 or at the latest Sec 3, because if you already start Sec 4 off on a not so good foot, it's a lot tougher to end off properly, as opposed to if we catch any potential issues in secondary 3 and we work to solve them, when we start Sec 4 well, we do Sec 5 well, and then we could get into a very good CJAD.
So it's kind of like establishing the baseline for success in grade 9. I remember thinking when I was a grade 9 student, I did feel the screws starting to turn, where things really started to matter. If a student is to run into trouble in grade 9, what are the courses most likely to be giving the trouble?
So the vast majority of students who come through our service, they usually come from math and sciences. And then the third most popular subject is French.
Yeah, I think that that's probably a common story among a lot of students, because I find that even good learners who don't struggle in other subjects may have a problem with language. It seems that language acquisition is one of those things that is not for everybody. It's not I've seen that in my own family, where some people have been able to pick up a language easily, others just don't seem to have it in them, and may in fact have negative feelings about past struggles. And that leads me to my next question, Ben. If a student arrives in grade 9 or 10 with the baggage of having not performed well in the past, is it possible to restore confidence?
Absolutely. So that's actually something that my company prides itself on, as opposed to just fitting you with any old tutor. What we do is we speak to the parent and we really understand what the particular kid's needs is. And then we'll establish, is confidence an issue? Is it just ability? Is it that they're not interested? Whatever it is, we match not only the subject, we also match the personality of the tutor and the teaching methods to what the kid needs to help the kids get this confidence that they need to think, as opposed to thinking, oh no, I suck at math, I can't do this, thinking, wait, math isn't so bad. I just got an 80 on my last test. I'm going to go for a 90 next time. That's the mindset shift that we thankfully see in quite a few of our students, again, because we take the time to really match them with the proper tutor.
Yeah, well, I think it is, success breeds success, right? You build on
Absolutely.
each step. One success gives you the confidence to tackle the next challenge, I guess. What are the red flags that parents should really not be ignoring?
So, of course, any failure in whatsoever on any sort of exam absolutely needs to be addressed. And just telling the kid to study more doesn't tend to be helpful enough. Sometimes the child just really needs someone to sit with them and encourage them to work. So whether it be an older sibling, a parent, a cousin, or in some cases, a tutor, of course, is needed. Basically, they just need support. So anytime you feel the kid is slipping off, if they're not doing their homework or if they're failing in the exams, then it would be absolutely a good idea to check it out. And even I'd say anything below 70s is cause for concern.
Anything below a 70. Oh, I think I would have flagged to my parents with math in grade 7. At that point, I gained confidence later, but man, oh man, it wasn't easy. Tell us about study habits. I thought that this is kind of taught to kids once they get to the high school level, how to study, how to set up their whatever workspace they have to make their studying more efficient. What are some of the common lack of study habits that you see?
So, firstly, we see that often schools, they don't teach proper study habits at all. But the biggest lack of study habits is purely scheduling. Students, they won't even write down an agenda what to do when. I have 2 weeks for this, I have 2 weeks, until they have 2 days left and they have 3 assignments due the same day. And that's when they not only stress, but they also don't prepare properly and end up failing. So I'd say it's mainly lack of preparation and lack of proper structure.
Do you think sometimes it's better to, you were talking about maybe an older sibling can encourage a younger sibling, or do you think sometimes to preserve relationships, you do need to bring in outside help just so that the relationship doesn't get all tangled up in homework success and homework nagging and just sometimes I feel it becomes so adversarial that
exactly.
Parents and families need to back off a bit and let a pro take over?
100%. I'd say maybe, without exaggeration, 40% of our clientele come because the mothers tell me, I cannot stand doing math with my child. Please handle it for me. It's silly, but it's true. Even myself as a kid, my mom and I both hated doing math together. But the second I started getting outside help, things improved drastically. So I think you're absolutely correct. Often we do need to go for outside counsel.
I get this completely because, first of all, some parents, we're not teachers. We're not trained to be a high school teacher. We don't know teaching methods. We say, oh, but I know my child. Sometimes that's not helpful. You actually need teaching skill, and we're not teachers. And to have this terrible stress within the family over homework, I think, is something that could properly be avoided if it can be afforded. And that brings me to my other question. Ben, what are tutors charging these days?
So that really depends on the experience of the tutor, on the needs of the student, on the location, on the subject being taught. A tutor could range anywhere between $30 and $120 an hour. It really depends for private tutoring what you get. What you get is usually what you pay for, but there's also some places who overcharge for absolutely no reason. So it's kind of a difficult question to answer. But as a kind of non-answer, we notice that unfortunately a lot of families simply not able to afford private tutoring in this economy. So what we've done is we actually created group lessons for the beginning of the year. These are reduced rate group lessons to teach students entering Sec 4, 5, and CJAD everything they need to know for the first 2 to 3 weeks worth of material, as well as reviewing past material, to help them get that good start to the year. Because like you had mentioned earlier, success breeds more success. So we figured that if we're able to help these students get off on the right foot, especially at a reduced rate, then they're able to continue on with that success. Often it can be with our tutors, but sometimes it'll have to be on their own as well.
Ben, where do people find out more about 360 Tutoring Montreal?
So for that, I'd encourage everybody to check out our Instagram or website, 360 Tutoring Montreal. Or they could always give me a call at 438-530-5252, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions they may have.
Ben, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Ben Bensimon, owner and founder of 360 Tutoring Montreal. When we come back after the news, we will, in our cool jobs section, speak to a firefighter who trained for all kinds of very fraught types of rescue, including high-angle rescue, confined spaces rescue. More on how to become a Spider-Man in Montreal.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeart radio station.
This newscast brought to you by Supermarché Akavan, where fresh, hot bread is baked on the spot every day. Freshness you can taste, quality you can try.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.